Today we're going to be showing you how to install Boost Auto Parts tow mirrors onto this 01 Chevy Silverado. This procedure will apply to 99 to 02 GM vehicles. We're going to be installing these mirrors onto the truck. These are black smoke strip dual function with signal and running light. We do have a lot of different options available on our website at boostautoparts.com. Now this truck already has tow mirrors, but the tow mirrors don't have any lights. This procedure will apply whether you have tow mirrors or small mirrors. Now we're going to show you how to remove the door panel. This procedure does vary a little bit based on the trims, so go ahead and use this as a reference, but be sure to check for any additional clips, screws, anything like that on your vehicle. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and pry off this lock cover. You'll go ahead and just start from the back with a small flathead screwdriver or pick, and it'll just pry right off. Now we're going to go ahead and remove this cover from behind the door handle. You can just go ahead and use your hand and kind of pry it off. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and remove the door switch. You can just kind of use your hand or a small trim tool and just pry it out. And you'll just unplug any connectors on the back side. Now we'll just go ahead and pop the trim piece covering the mirror bolts. Now we're going to be removing a couple 7mm bolts holding the panel on. You're going to have one right here, one right down here under the door grab, and then if we come up under the door panel, you'll see there's one right down here. Now the door panel should just lift off. Now we're going to want to go ahead and unplug any connectors. You can see there's a wire going right over here to the speaker, so we'll go ahead and just unplug that. And then we're just going to twist the light bulb out of the bottom of the door panel right over here. Now we'll go ahead and remove the foam covering up the mirror bolts. And you'll just go ahead and unplug the original mirror. Now using a deep 10mm socket, you'll go ahead and remove the 3 nuts. Be sure to support the mirror on the other side when you're doing this, as when those 3 nuts are removed, you can just remove the mirror, so you go ahead and route the wiring harness and just dismount the mirror. Now we're just going to take our new mirrors provided by Boost Auto Parts, route all of our wires in through the door, and then we'll go ahead and mount the mirror up. You're going to want to make sure you have all your wires pulled in through the door, and then you'll go ahead and just tighten down the 3 nuts. If your mirrors do have this extra orange wire, be sure not to pull any of the slack out of it. There's intentionally some slack left in it so that the mirrors can be extended. Now we'll go ahead and plug the main harness in. Now we're going to go ahead and plug in our long extension lead on the orange wire, as well as the long extension lead on the blue, white, and black wires. To make the installation a little easier, we're going to tape the orange wire to the blue, white, and black wire. It's important to note you want to run all these wires into the cab of the truck. Do not leave the black wire in the door panel, as the door panel is not a sufficient ground. Now there's going to be a slight hole in the door off to the right. We're going to go ahead and route our wires down through there. We're just going to pull back the splash shield, and then we're going to just pull the slack out of it, being careful not to chafe any of the wires. Now for the door boot, there's a little clip holding it on, so you're just going to take a flat blade screwdriver and pry on the top of it, and that will kind of push it out. So you do that on one side and then also in the door jamb side. Now you'll take your wires and just go ahead and pass them down through the door. You want to make sure you're clear of the window when doing this. So you just go ahead and grab them, pull the slack through, being careful not to chafe any of the wires. Now we're going to begin by taping all the wires to a coat hanger that's been straightened out, or just any real thin piece of metal. You could use a welding rod if you'd like. So we're just going to tape all the wires. You want it to be real snug so that they don't come off there. Alright, then we'll just go ahead and take the rod and push it through, being careful not to hit any other wires. And once it's through, you'll just go ahead and pull it up until you get your wires. Pull your slack through, being careful not to chafe anything. Now to get the wires on the other side, you're going to go ahead and have to pop this little trim piece off. So we'll begin by popping this up. You can use a trim tool or just your hands. You don't need to remove it completely. We'll just pop it up just enough so that we can get the other piece out. So then we'll go ahead and just kind of pull on that. The clips will release. And then you can just pop it right out. Then we'll just go ahead and fish the wires into the cab of the truck. And pull of our slack, being careful not to chafe anything. Then we'll go ahead and pop the door boot back into place. It should just snap right in. So now you just go ahead and fish those wires across the dash. You want the driver and passenger side to meet over in the driver's side kick panel. We're only going to show you here on the passenger side. The procedure is pretty much the same on the driver's side. Now we'll go ahead and put our trim pieces back on. Just a couple body clips, you line it up, just snap those in. We'll go ahead and snap the little piece down here. Again, that's going to go on top of the trim piece that we removed. Now for the turn signals, we're going to be tapping at the body control module. This is going to be located on the driver's side. So we're going to come over onto the driver's side. And if you look up, it's going to be this right up here. We're going to be working with the brown plug. So on the body control module, on the brown plug, there's going to be these blue clips. There's one on the bottom side as well as one on the top. What you're going to do is take your fingers, squeeze the blue clips. You need to squeeze the bottom and the top, and then the plug should slide out. And then we're just going to go ahead and pull the brown plug down. Now the wires we're going to be working with are going to be the dark blue and light blue that's going to be in the bottom row. They're right next to each other. One's going to be the left signal, one's going to be the right signal. We're going to be taking our blue wires from the mirrors and tapping them onto these wires. Now we're going to go ahead and take our inline fuse splices provided by Boost Auto Parts, and we're going to use those to tap into the wires. Now we're going to take our T-tap provided by Boost Auto Parts and T-tap onto the light blue wire and dark blue wire in positions B6 and B7. So we'll go ahead and take the T-tap, clamp it over the wires. You want to feel it lock down completely. You may want to use some pliers just to make sure it fully seats. So again, these wires are going to be right next to each other, the light blue and dark blue. Make sure that you are tapping onto the correct wires. Now we're going to go ahead and plug the taps into the T-taps. You want to make sure that the metal slides directly in and then the tap is slid all the way forward. It's possible for the metal to slide down the T-tap if you're not careful, so just make sure that it goes directly in and that the tap slid all the way forward. So now we have our fusible taps right in there. Now we've gone ahead and taken our driver's side blue wire from the mirror, and we're going to be tapping it to the light blue wire. So make sure you have the correct side, as this is the turn signal. So we're going to take that, we're going to put it in the butt connector, and go ahead and crimp it down. We'll go ahead and take our passenger side wire, we'll go ahead and strip that off. And then the passenger side, we're going to go ahead and tap to the dark blue wire. So go ahead and put the wire in there. We'll go ahead and crimp it down. Now these butt connectors are heat shrink butt connectors, so we'll just go ahead and heat those down. Now we'll go ahead and take our plug for our BCM and go ahead and plug it back in. There is only one way for it to go, so you got to make sure you have it going the correct way. And you'll just want to make sure it latches all the way up. Then you're just going to want to tuck your tap splices, up under here, use some zip ties, take all your extra slack, tap those up out of the way. Now for the ground, we're going to take both black wires and ground it out right down here. You can see there's these two nuts. We're going to go ahead and remove one of those with a wrench, and then we're going to go ahead and use the eyelet provided by Boost Auto Parts to ground it off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take both black wires and we're going to put them into the eyelet provided by Boost Auto Parts and crimp it down. Then we're going to go ahead and put the eyelet on that stud, and then we'll put the nut on. We'll go ahead and snug it down. I'll go ahead and pop the hood. So now we're in the under hood, and you can see we're adding this grommet right over on the driver's side. What we've done is we've gone ahead and pushed a rod through. You're going to push it from the hood back into the cab, and then we're going to tape wires through it and then fish it back through. So we'll show you in the cab now. Showing you down here on the driver's side, you can see that rod is coming up straight up over here. So we're just going to tape our orange and white wires, and then we're going to go ahead and pull it through. All right, and then once you have the wires taped to it, you're just going to go ahead and pull the wires straight up. And you're just going to pull the slack on through. I'll go ahead and remove the fuse box cover. I'll go ahead and strip off the wire. Now for the running lights and reverse lights, you can either run both sides to the underhood fuse box, or you can run just the driver's side and splice the wires together in the driver's side kick panel. Depending on how you run the wires, you will have enough wire to get all the way to the underhood fuse box with both sides. Otherwise, you can just splice the wires together in the driver's side kick panel. I'll go ahead and crimp the wire into the fuse tap. Now for the reverse lamps, we're going to go ahead and remove the trailer backup fuse. It's going to be this 10 amp right down here. So we'll go ahead and remove that. And then we're going to take the fuse tap. We're going to go ahead and put the original fuse in the lower slot and then connect it right down into there. Then we'll go ahead and crimp the orange wire into the other fuse tap. And then for the running lights, we're going to be tapping to the FR-PRK, the front park lamp fuse. So that's going to be right down here. We're going to remove that 10 amp. And we're going to go ahead and place that into the lower slot on the fuse tap. We'll just go ahead and plug that in. Then we'll go ahead and put the lid back on the fuse box cover. And just do a function test. And then we'll go ahead and shift the truck into reverse to confirm that the reverse lights are working. And as you can see, those are working. So we'll go ahead and reassemble the door panels now. Now for the door panel reassembly, we'll go ahead and start by putting the light back down in the bottom corner of the door panel. Go ahead and plug back in the speaker. Then to get the door panel back on, we're just going to go ahead and latch it over the top lip, and then it should kind of slide down together. I'll go ahead and put the foam back in. I'll go ahead and put the triangle back on. It's going to kind of latch down, and then you can press the clips in. We'll go ahead and plug back in any connectors that we removed, and then this piece should just snap right back in. Then we're going to go ahead and put the door lock piece back in. The red piece does face towards the rear, and then we'll go ahead and put this trim piece back on. To get the parts shown in this video, check us out on the web at boostautoparts.com. Boost Auto Parts stocks a wide variety of tow mirrors, parts, and accessories for your GM trucks and SUVs. Check us out, boostautoparts.com.